It's time for the Splash Live from Civic Center TV, featuring stories from and about people like you in the greater West Bloomfield area. Simulcast on cable, 89.3 Lakes FM, social media, and the web. Now live from Green Media Center on Walnut Lake Road, it's the Splash Live.
Live, local, social, it's the Splash Live on Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM. I'm Tyler Kieft, thanking you for joining us for what is our final program of the 2024 calendar year. We've had a great year alongside you here in Greater West Bloomfield with a lot of excitement and a lot of change. We'll be with you for all the rest of that change going forward in 2025. In the meantime, let's get to the top stories across the Greater West Bloomfield area on this Friday in our community. The top story this whole week has really been the continued love and admiration that's come forth as we get ready for one of the biggest changes coming at the early portion of 2025 as longtime West Bloomfield Chief of Police Michael Patton will officially retire on January the 10th of the new year after nearly 40 years of service to our community and nearly 15 of those years as our Chief of Police in West Bloomfield Township. On Monday of this week, there was an outpouring of love at the West Bloomfield Township Board of Trustees meeting, not only from the board itself and some of his colleagues at the police department and across the township, but from the general public, both in West Bloomfield and in surrounding areas, who came to say goodbye to one of the most beloved chiefs in our local area. Here's some of what they had to say.
It's interesting dynamic to have a chief of police who is beloved. And you are truly beloved by your community, by the men and women who serve under you, and that has been earned.
Chief Patton conducted his duties with professionalism, dedication, and compassion.
I have always felt that I could call him with even the smallest question or the largest issue.
You checking in with me instead of me having to reach out to you, but I know that I was always comfortable to reach out to you. And you always answer. And it didn't matter what time or what day.
He could have very easily answered and said, now what? But instead it was, always a very, very welcoming, it was never, don't you have your own police department? Of course I do. But it was always, how can I help you? What can we do to assist?
Chief Patton opened himself, the police station, and our children up to a community where the police chief, showed concern. He showed how he was willing to be a part of diversity. He showed unity. And for my three sons who were a part of United We Walk, their friends and the other students that were involved, this meant the world to them.
You don't have to be a detective to know how much people love you in this community and how much you've been to them and how respected you are and how much respect you show them.
Because you do community policing, it really is that. People in the community know you. Kids know you and your officers, and they trust you, and they bring information to you. And because of that, you're such an integral part of our community, and you've built this fabric within our community where law enforcement is so respected as it should be, and kids want to be police officers in West Bloomfield.
I always joke, and you hear me say it, we can all sleep with at night because we know you're asleep with one eye open, so we don't have to.
Chief Michael Patton retiring on January 10th. Deputy Chief Dale Young will take over as the new police chief in West Bloomfield on January the 11th. Plenty of people, as you heard there. That's only a small couple of minutes of nearly 45 minutes of people dedicating their time in a packed house in the town hall boardroom in order to dedicate their admiration for our longtime police chief. One of the many people that spoke in that public comment was Daryl Reed, a resident of West Bloomfield, a longtime member of the West Bloomfield Diversity Task Force, who shot his praises too of the longtime chief and their personal relationship that's developed over the years as he's interacted with him at events and so much more. And Daryl Reed now joins us on the Splash Live for more insight. Thank you so much for being with us today, Daryl.
Good morning. It's a pleasure being with you and on Splash again.
Yeah, and it's great, and it's a great occasion too, because we're dedicating some time to someone that has really made a widespread impact on our community. It's not often, and Julie Beatty from the West Bloomfield School Board had said this during the public comment as they recognized, as the Township Board recognized Chief Patton, that it's not often that the chief of police is so well respected and is considered essentially a friend to people of the public. Why do you believe that is the case here in West Bloomfield with West Bloomfield Police Chief Michael Patton as he approaches his retirement? Why he's considered to be really a friend of the residents and the general public?
Well, my experience has been with Chief Patton that he's always been willing to go above and beyond just the job description of his position. He's always interacted with the community. He's been very supportive of things happening in West Bloomfield. When I chaired the Juneteenth event, he always made sure that we had appropriate police coverage and support there in a time when gun violence was very high and still remains high. So I think that his personal relationships and his ability to connect with people and make himself available at any time, any occasion, to any resident of West Bloomfield is why you saw an outpouring of love and respect for him last night.
And so as that is something that was such a point of emphasis from the public about his impact, why do you feel that is important for somebody in a leadership position, whether it's our police chief or other leaders across our community in government or in other capacities, that they take that front row driver's seat to approaching the public and making themselves available to people like you and other residents?
Well, it's important that people in his position in the West Bloomfield Police Department show that they care and they're concerned about each and every citizen. West Bloomfield is a very diverse and culturally diverse city with religiously, ethnically, racially, spiritually. And to show that you care for each citizen is very important. And he has done that throughout his service to West Bloomfield. So I think that's one of the reasons that he's very well respected.
It's no secret that there's been some tumult over recent years in our community through the pandemic, through other incidents that have boiled over across the country and have really caused some very tough conversations in our communities that have been necessary to have. And this is something that was brought up, a sense of safety within those sorts of conversations, within that controversy or within those times of conflict. Vincent Kirkwood from the Township Board had a really interesting thing to say about how Chief Patton has approached those sorts of conversations and made diverse populations in our community feel safe in those moments. Here's a little bit of what he had to say during that recognition.
I want to kind of talk about the culture of the law enforcement within West Bloomfield. And I'm looking at all of the officers here today. Being a black man and understanding the culture that we're in and the time that we're in our society in America, we've seen things done to black men that have scared us. It has scared me. It scared my wife. It scared my brothers. It scared my father. But when I think about the West Bloomfield law enforcement and the fact that I'm raising a black son, and how safe we feel, how encouraged we feel, and it's just a different feeling when I cross over. I'm going to use J. Alexander's because it's the only thing I can think of. But when I get to J. Alexander's, I'm like, wow, after I've come off of Northwestern, I get to J. Alexander's and I'm headed home on Walnut Lake. I just feel a sense of relief. I see the officers, I try to wave, my son waves, but to understand and to know that he's growing up in a community that respects all people, that the law enforcement respects all people, and that he's not afraid, and that I'm not afraid, and that my wife is not afraid, and my daughter's not afraid, and my brothers when they come to visit me, and my dad when they come to visit me, and other cousins, they need to do what they're supposed to do, but they don't feel scared, and I don't feel scared. And I think that is a huge compliment to the culture of West Bloomfield Township, West Bloomfield law enforcement, and to you.
I want to get your reaction to that. Daryl Reed, West Bloomfield resident with us, who's also a fellow member of the West Bloomfield Diversity Task Force alongside Vincent Kirkwood and so many others. And I want to get your reaction to what he said and your thoughts on how Chief Patton has contributed to some important conversations we've had in our community and making people of very diverse communities in Greater West Bloomfield feel safe in West Bloomfield Township.
Well, Vincent is absolutely correct, but I had a personal incident myself when I was shopping at the Ace Hardware store on Walnut Lake. I went into the store to buy a wrench. I used my credit card. I'm one of Ace's loyalty customers. And I left the store and I was sitting in my car in the parking lot using my cell phone because it's illegal to drive and use your cell phone handheld. All of a sudden, 2 police cars pulled up from West Bloomfield. 3 armed officers got out and approached my car. Especially since this was during the George Floyd incident, I was very concerned. But they were very professional, they were very polite, and that sort of reflects on the way that Chief Patton trained and set standards in the police department. They explained to me what was going on, and after I got my FOIA report, I never got a definition of what suspicion was. But as I said, the police were very respectful, very professional, very friendly, which put me at ease. Because whenever you have 3 armed officers approach you while you're sitting in your car on your cell phone, there's going to be some concern. Also, Chief Patton was willing to meet with me. And thanks to Terry Weingarten, our treasurer, who helped facilitate that meeting, just shows you how Chief Patton was willing to go above and beyond what was required of him to do to help put me at ease as a citizen of West Bloomfield. And to this day, I don't shop at that Ace Hardware store on Walnut Lake. That's just one example of how I respect the police department and the work that, Chief Patton has done while he was chief of police in West Bloomfield.
Yeah, and it does show that there is that dedication after the fact to make sure that everybody involved understands what went on, what may have gone wrong, what could have been done differently, and ultimately brings it to a peaceful resolution. Daryl, before we let you go, I want to get your lasting thoughts on what you believe the lasting impact of Chief Michael Patton will be on the Greater West Bloomfield community.
Well, he's going to be greatly missed, I think, by everyone who's a resident in West Bloomfield who has gotten a chance to meet with him or know him or see how he operates and ran the police department. He has the most respect. People appreciate him. They love him. Some of the stories that came out last night about the things that he has done to help people, which are those things that are never told in public. He just does what's important to him, what he thinks is the right thing to do, and he's respected for doing that. It's been a pleasure meeting him and knowing him and working with him.
And Daryl, it's been a pleasure also to reflect on his impact on our community with you as well today. Thank you so much for your time, sir.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Always appreciate talking to residents from our community about how the different areas and different leaders in our community have impacted their lives. And as we reflect on the storied career of Chief Michael Patton, it's those personal stories like what Daryl told us and so many others spoke of at the West Bloomfield Township Board's recent meeting that really tell you why Chief Patton is so beloved in the Greater West Bloomfield community at large. Greater West Bloomfield loves its music, and in the city of Sylvan Lake, they spend the entire year lauding over different musicians from our local area, including, of course, their summer concert series at the community center and many different homes, the Still Sunsets concert series, as it's known. But now, throughout the rest of the year, a local restaurant in Sylvan Lake is picking up the slack and helping singer-songwriters develop their talent and show off that talent to the public on a special, dedicated night. Our reporter Jake Schaff has the story.
Music is one of the true universal languages, and just recently, Guma Italian Restaurant in Sylvan Lake has been welcoming in so much music thanks to their Thursday Open Mic Night series, a chance for local singer-songwriters to stop by the restaurant, showcase their talent, and the chance to leave a valuable impression on the community with their music.
It definitely has been a work in progress since we opened a year and a half ago. We've been wanting to do this. We are very fortunate to have a connection to Billy, who knows the owner, and he's the one that kind of worked with Brad, the owner, to put this together for us. So far, we've had some really beautiful artists come in, and we're really excited to see what comes in the next few weeks. Since we've opened, we've had the stage here. And people have asked us, like, oh, do you do live music? And it was always, not yet, we want to in the future, this, that, the other. And as soon as we launched it the very first night, we had a full house. So it really made the community excited. It makes us excited. It's been a really good turnout.
It is wonderful. The staff is wonderful, and there's always great fans and people. And I just love singing and bringing joy to people and while they're eating dinner and enjoying their evening.
How do you feel that this is going to help not just yourself, but just the entire music scene here in West Bloomfield?
Just performing and a place opening up their doors to live music always brings new fans and attention to not only the restaurant but to live music. And live music adds a great aspect and atmosphere overall to restaurants and bar scenes and all that kind of thing.
How do you think that these open mic nights help the atmosphere of Guma?
I think it just adds a little bit to it, just makes it a little more exciting than just having dinner, and then I think that we'll pull more people in, so I think it's fun for everybody. Hopefully it'll just keep catching on, and we're promoting it on social media, so hopefully it'll just keep going and going.
We have a big regular base, and we want to be able to bring those regulars all together. It's certain nights where everybody comes in at the same time and everybody knows each other. So adding the live music really gives them an opportunity to know, like, if they're going to come here for the live music, they're going to see familiar faces and be able to talk to their neighbors and friends that they haven't seen and just get together and enjoy the atmosphere and the music.
There have been so many pleasant sounds to come from this restaurant as of late, and there's going to be plenty more as this event continues to get popular. And the joy of music continues to be spread all throughout Greater West Bloomfield. For Civic Center TV, I'm Jake Schaff.
Guma in Sylvan Lake has their singer-songwriter night every Thursday here in our community. Doors open around 4 and the concerts will begin at 6 p.m. A great new adventure for musicians in the community to be able to show off their talent, and an adventure for the public as well to enjoy some new local music for up-and-comers across Greater West Bloomfield and beyond. We'll take a break on The Splash Live. Plenty more coming up later on in the program. Stay with us. Live, local, social. It's The Splash Live on Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM.
We'll be right back with The Splash Live. This is Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM. On cable and the radio. On the web too, and on social media. Civic Center TV, television that's close to home.
I'm Gina Gregory, president of the Greater West Bloomfield Historical Society. I'm excited that Civic Center TV has reached 1 million views on YouTube. Congratulations, that's just terrific. We appreciate everything Civic Center does for the Greater West Bloomfield Historical Society and the community. For us, they promote and highlight our events. It's awesome to have them available 24/7 on YouTube. I'm Gina Gregory and proud to be 1 in a million.
1 in 4 Michigan homes has high levels of radon, a naturally occurring radioactive gas known to cause lung cancer. It doesn't matter where you live or what type of home you have. You won't even know it's there unless you test. So don't wait. Testing is cheap and easy, and if there's a problem, it's simple to fix. Visit michigan.gov/radon to learn more.
We took action. Will you?
What people are watching in Kego Harbor. Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM. And now, back to The Splash, live.
Live, local, social, it's the Splash Live on Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM. I'm Tyler Kieft. Thanks for joining us as you have all throughout the 2024 calendar year. We'll be back with even more full episodes in 2025 after we wrap up today's final episode of the calendar year. In the meantime, and over the break, you'll be able to see all of our full episodes and all of our other content on demand on CivicCenterTV.com. And as always, we encourage you to follow us across social media, Facebook at Civic Center TV 15, as well as on Instagram, X, and YouTube at Civic Center TV. This is the time of the year where people are getting ready for the new calendar year in 2025 and setting their New Year's resolutions. Often that surrounds fitness and health and getting yourself in check in those early months, but the problem is, often those early months are where those goals begin and end. So, how do you set these New Year's resolutions for your health and your fitness and keep them in 2025? Here with more advice on that is Laurel Rivera, personal trainer with EM2M Fitness right here in our community. Laurel, thanks for being with us today.
Thank you, and happy holidays.
Yes, to you as well. And as we think about the holidays, we think about the new year and all these goals that people set. And it often surrounds, the common ones are surrounding health and fitness and getting that all in check. So where's a good place for people to start as they're setting those goals to set them up for success in 2025?
Well, I personally recommend that they start very small, something very realistic. Look at their daily or their weekly schedule. Maybe this is something that they do a check-in once a week, but the key is to start small and build as the year progresses or the month of January progresses. And you progress in being consistent. Focus on the consistency. That's another big thing that I try to encourage my clients. Make sure you focus on being consistent and realistic. You put a goal out there that's too large or just something that just seems overwhelming, it's going to take you longer, and you may longer to reach that goal, or you may just even fail because it's just too overwhelming to even think about how you're going to approach the goal.
So the first step is to get that consistency down, set those small goals, and then move forward. But then we look at people that maybe do that year in and year out, and somehow by the time Valentine's Day comes around or the end of February comes around, that short month, these kind of go to the wayside. They move back to those old habits. So how do you get over that hump as well, Laurel?
So once a week on my social media platform, I typically say on Wednesday, that's our check-in day. Now, I always tell people not only check in on one other person, but check in on yourself. Be realistic with yourself. Where are you mental? Where's your mental and where's your physical? So if you're someone that starts a new goal or is thinking about starting a new fitness and let's say meal plan, I don't like using the term diet, but you just want to be cleaner as far as your fitness and your eating habits, start small. One goal a week. Perhaps your first goal is, I'm just going to meal prep. So then you figure out what day of the week can you realistically meal prep. For me, it's Sundays. And then I actually do a small meal prep on Wednesday so that I break my week up so that I can actually obtain my goal and I don't get bored with the food. The key is have somebody that helps you stay accountable. Not necessarily a trainer, but a friend or family member that really wants to help you, is really your go-to person, so to speak. Tell them, hey, I have this goal and I just need somebody to check in with me or help me check in with myself to make sure I'm doing the things that I'm supposed to do. And if you're someone that just really, really struggles and doesn't have that person, get a trainer for a short term. If you're thinking about the cost, get a trainer or in a group where you can train with a group of like-minded people and it doesn't feel overwhelming. And even if it's for a short term, it can help you get going on your goal or help you jump back into your goal that you might have, fell on or didn't succeed with.
Laurel Rivera is a certified personal trainer, life coach, and fitness coach class instructor as well from EM2M Fitness in Keego Harbor, and is joining us on the Splash Live as we talk about New Year's resolutions, especially those that surround your health and your fitness. You can get more advice and learn more about Laurel and her team at EM2M Fitness.com. And Laurel, you mentioned that the group aspect of this, getting together with other people that maybe have like-minded goals or are just interesting people that you can meet in the community. It's a great way to do that through fitness, and we know that you have experience witnessing that firsthand through Kegel Harbor Parks and Rec in the spring and the summers with those group fitness classes that you run at Rose Sorter Park. So how does that group aspect play into A, getting people motivated to come out and actually do this, but B, keep coming out and keep interested in this despite all the struggle that often comes along with starting out on a fitness plan?
Well, what I've done recently, I just expanded the EM2M Fitness location. We just expanded to a bigger space. And so what I've done is I just incorporated classes on Saturday and Sunday mornings at 9 a.m. It's a very small minimal fee. And my goal is to keep the classes small, 10 or 12 people, so we can actually build a community. And what I found through the Rex and Park, those were like-minded people. I tell a friend, you tell a friend. And that became something a little bit bigger. We still, even at the Parks and Recs, had about, 6 to 9, maybe 10 people, but everyone kept in touch. Some people encourage each other to keep on going through the fall. But the key point is you have that small community. People look at classes as something large, they're not going to know anyone, but actually what typically happens is you find out the person next to you in class is struggling just like you, whether that's with their fitness goal or just in life with kids, family members, etc. And you find that if someone else is there, they're there for the same purpose or a similar purpose, and you can meet some new friends and encourage each other. And with social media, you can keep in touch with that way. So you don't necessarily have to call them every day, so to speak, but you could just say, hey, are you going to class this Saturday or Sunday? I'd like to be there if you're going there. I think we got something in common or we have the same goals. But just finding that community, or even, like I said, a small group, just so you can feel like you belong to something. People typically want to belong to something, or if they belong to something, whether it's a group or even just a couple of individuals, it helps them bridge that gap and staying focused on whatever the goal might be.
And Laurel, we know life happens, things get in the way of your goals along the way. There are setbacks, there are roadblocks and everything in between. So for some people, it's the if their goals fall off. For others, it's when these goals fall off. How do you get back on it and get re-motivated? It's different at the end of the year and going into the next year where everyone's kind of feeling that rejuvenation. But when it happens in March or it happens in July, how do you bounce back then?
You have to tell yourself, you have to remember your why. And we all have to at some point be our own mentor. So at some point, and I just had a conversation with someone recently, you actually have to just be honest with yourself. If you keep putting on the same clothes, we're just talking fitness right now, and you really don't like the way that you feel in those clothes or the way that you look, that's your sign. That's your sign to just say, you know what? Tomorrow I'm going to start. The goal is going to be 15 minutes on the treadmill or elliptical or a 15-minute walk. Just remember to start small and don't beat yourself up, because oftentimes most people will beat themselves up. You just get back on. I tell everyone, especially during the holidays, it's really tough. Don't worry about the fail of today. Worry about the success of tomorrow. So if you ate bad today, tomorrow morning you wake up, it's a brand new day. That means a fresh opportunity, whether it's a week, month, year. It's a fresh opportunity. If you fall off the wagon, dust yourself off, get back on, but make sure you keep the goals small, realistic, so you're not overwhelming yourself. That is the key. Just get back up and try again. We taught our kids that, so we have to be our own mentor as well.
More information on EM2MFitness.com. Laurel Rivera with us from EM2M Fitness as we approach the end of 2024, the beginning of 2025, and how to keep those goals and set the right ones so that you have success with your resolutions in the 2025 calendar year. Laurel, before we let you go, any last advice on anything that we haven't spoken on just yet that may be helpful in this way for people across Greater West Bloomfield?
Yes, remember your why. With anything you do, remember your why. It's you versus you. There's not a competition. You are who you are. Your fitness goal, whatever that might be, or any New Year's resolution is for you. When we take care of ourselves and fill our own cup up, then we can fill other cups up. It's important to fill your cup up. Fitness, eating clean, being well, self-care, that's all incorporated. And the goal is to be whole. So whatever you choose to do, just make sure it's something that makes you feel happy and bring you peace. And that's even with fitness.
And that's ultimately what those resolutions are all about, improving your quality of life and improving your happiness as you move in to a new era and turn the page on one year and into the next. Laurel, thank you so much for your advice today.
Thank you for having me.
We're talking with Laurel Rivera from Kegel Harbor's EM2M Fitness. More information on their website, em2mfitness.com. Close to home in Greater West Bloomfield, over at West Bloomfield High School, a special group of individuals has been getting together every day, 6 days a week in some cases, at the high school for a daily walk. A group that began 40 years ago has brought gentlemen together to connect with each other and their community. Here's what they had to say to me.
Well, being together, it is important. And we are joining together and we are communicating together. So it is a friendship.
Part of it is just so we have people to talk to and keep that going. And we make an effort to do that because it is encouragement.
I look forward to it. I've known these guys for a long time. And as long as we are able physically to get here, I continue to be looking forward to it.
The walkers have also become a beloved part of the high school community, drawing the love and admiration of Laker Nation.
We've welcomed our walkers in our building for much longer than I've been here, and their interactions with our community, our staff, our students have always been positive. They're really a fabric of what we do here in the school.
We have a bond now. We have a relationship with each other. It's great. Every time they come, hi, Rita, hi, Rita. That, spark conversation. It's awesome just to interact with them guys every day.
I appreciate the fact that we are able to get into the school. We also spend some time talking to the teachers, the custodians. We see people like you, like we've talked to you, and so you get a smile and talk.
The school is a good place, and people are nice, and the exercise is beneficial to me and to them as well, and I think all of us enjoy doing it.
These friendships have extended beyond their up to 6 days per week trek around this school. Not just a group, but more of an extended family that cares for one another.
It is important when we have a problem, we can get help from anyone, and this is very important, especially that we are getting older.
Oh, just getting the information from each other about what activities we've had and how things are going with our lives, and discuss it either from a humorous point of view or a serious point.
Their relationships and their positive attitude provides a sense of inspiration, both to each other and to their beloved Laker community.
I would love to see this continue for as long as our school is upright. Whether it's them or new friends that join them, and to keep it open for our community.
Just keep up the good work. Don't stop. No, don't stop.
They've been meeting at this high school for over 40 years. It started out as a community education class, and after that class eventually shut down because of lower enrollment and costs, they were able to keep themselves together for years going forward. And sometimes it's just those 3 gentlemen we talked to in that story, and others it's upwards of 6 or 7 of them that are there. And they mentioned the story talking to me in the high school, and I've been over there during the fall season for filming This Week in Laker Football. We don't not normally plan to have that with a live audience, but you get around that time of the afternoon, they're walking around the school cheering on their football team and cheering on the students and create a great welcoming environment that they add to over at West Bloomfield High School. Hopefully we'll see them plenty more times going in to 2025. Close to home, as you're wrapping up your holiday shopping and maybe considering giving to charities and nonprofits this season, others are hunting for your personal information and to steal your hard-earned money through holiday and charity scams. So what do you need to know to scope these out, to avoid them, and to help yourself if you do fall victim to one of these scams? Here to tell us more and give us some very helpful advice for the end of the year and the holiday season is Nakia Mills from the Better Business Bureau serving Detroit and Eastern Michigan. Nakia, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Happy to have you with us to talk about this. It's an important topic as shoppers in our local area in Greater West Bloomfield are going out to our local malls to do their last-minute shopping, are looking for charities to give their money to donate at the end of the year, maybe to help out a little bit during tax season. But there's so much opportunity given that a lot of what people are doing nowadays during this season is online for their information to be out there. So what are some of the common ways that we can start off talking about that people often encounter holiday scams and charity scams this time of year?
Right, especially ever since Giving Tuesday, the charity scams, this time of year, we have it in our hearts. We want to give back to those who are less fortunate. But like you said in your intro, scammers also know this. So they try to do little tricks, to get us to give to their fake charities. So they'll use maybe an acronym that's similar to a charity you're familiar with, or they might use, these emotional photos of very sad looking children that desperately need help. But you always want to pay attention to the details. And especially if you see, a post on social media or someone's inboxing you to give. And even sometimes when people create, those crowdfunding charities, you want to really read the fine print, see where it says that money is going, make sure that a significant percentage is actually going to the charity and not just to someone's pocket who just made a fake account basically to steal your money.
And that's what's interesting too, is because these are being seen on social media, or they're in your email inbox, or even to some of the more elaborate scams on the charity scam side. They've made entire websites that tell these harrowing stories. They include the pictures. They look so realistic. So from a consumer's standpoint, what should they be looking out for that maybe raises an eyebrow? Some alarm bells go off and they start to question the legitimacy of these so-called organizations.
So you're going to hear me probably say this a lot in this conversation. The first thing you want to do is slow down. This time of year, most of these scams are counting on us rushing. We're moving around. We're not paying attention. So closely read the URL. That's very important. One, it should have an S, and that way you know it's secure before you put any of your information in there. Also in that URL, make sure it's really the exact letters. What we see a lot is the letter O. A scammer will change that to a 0. It looks very similar. It takes a lot of patience for us to notice that difference. Or maybe it has the letter L. The scammer might use an I. Again, they look so similar. So you just really want to slow down, do some reading, go find their, terms and conditions, find their privacy policy. How are they using your information? Mostly you'll notice this site is going to be missing something. Real charities have all sorts of information. They have impact reports. There's so many details that you can read about how they're using your funds. So these scammers, you start noticing it's not as much detail. It's a little bit more vague and more about just tugging at your heartstring with no meat.
And then on the consumer side, as people are doing their shopping, it's, I'd imagine, very similar warning signs that they'd see on maybe some of these independent shopping sites, or those that are designed to look like some of the big box retailers or online sellers as well. So in those cases, what are maybe some of the differences that people should be looking out for on the consumer end of these scams versus those that are targeting people giving to charities and nonprofits?
Some of them, like you said, are very similar. No matter what you're doing on any website, you want to make sure it's secure. You want to make sure you're really at the URL you thought you were going to. Those, regardless, always remember that. But also, when it comes to these types, you want to also, what is the refund policy? Do they list one? A lot of these imposter sites, that's kind of where they fail. They won't really list it, or it'll be quite vague. Do they have a physical address listed? Real businesses have some sort of address, but a lot of scammers forget that part or leave that part out, and they don't really list any sort of address. You might not see any contact information. So a lot of times we get reports that, and it ties into this, so I'll bring up misleading social media ads, because a lot of times people get to the imposter site because it started with some pop-up banner, or maybe they saw a post of something too good to be true on social media. You know, we all want that last minute item for our family members or friends that we can't find in any store. The scammers know that, so they post about it and you think, yay, I finally got my item. And then you end up, you know, with this imposter site. So those two tend to go hand in hand. So first I say be careful online what you're clicking and try to just go directly to the trusted sites you know. And so then you never even end up being led to an imposter site in the first place. But if you do end up on that site, read the fine print, make sure you understand their policies.
Really great advice from Nakia Mills with the Better Business Bureau of Detroit and Eastern Michigan. Their BBB Naughty List, 12 Scams of the Holidays, is a great article they have on their website as we speak at bbb.org. You can also follow along with them this holiday season on their social media. It is a legitimate social media page, unlike those we're talking about with Nakia. This Facebook page for the Better Business Bureau at MyBBB on Facebook. Nakia, as we're thinking about social media and the web nowadays, the fear is not only that you make a bad purchase from a nefarious site and it steals your money, or that you give to a scam, bogus charity. It's that even clicking through some of these links could end up putting your info at risk. And not all these scammers are after your money. They're after opportunities to use your information for long-term financial gain. So in that regard, what should people be aware of, and what steps can people take to protect their personal info this season?
Yeah, so I know a lot of us, you know, nowadays, we want attention on social media. But one thing you should do first and foremost, very basic, set your privacy settings. Do you really need your account to be public? Unless you know you're a rock star or something, make sure that only your friends can see your information. So that's a helpful way to start and limit who's able to even contact you and see all those details you share in the first place. And then once you have that set up, you want to make sure when you're scrolling around, you know, that you're not clicking on something just because it seems like some special offer or that a great thing you need, or some wonderful opportunity that you know you just never have heard of anywhere else. So you also want to watch, you know, for people a lot now, they'll, you know, pretend they'll save your friend or family member's picture, and then they'll reach out to you in an inbox and tell you that they can help you get something or try to get money from you. So just be very careful on social media. And if you know your friend already had an account and you're suddenly getting another friend request for that same person, you know, call, check with them, ask them, are you really making a new page? Because this is a good way scammers will try to trick you into giving them your information. You think it's your friend.
Nakia Mills is with us from the Better Business Bureau of Eastern Michigan and Detroit on the Splash Live today as we talk about holiday and charity scams. Very common this time of the year. We got a lot of warnings through the Michigan Attorney General's office and local law enforcement as well, keeping consumers aware as they wrap up those holiday gift shopping times and think about giving at the end of the year and as we head into 2025. Nakia, as we talk about the social media side of things and verifying all this information, those blue check marks or gold check marks or whatever you see across the web aren't what they used to be. They don't necessarily mean that these are all verified and that these are legitimate websites or entities, but even the research you suggested people get into being media literate and web literate before they make these financial decisions. What resources are available for those that maybe are more limited on time so that they can make sound decisions as quickly as possible, but have a better idea whether they're getting into something that could potentially put their money or their information at risk?
So of course, the main thing you want to do, and it's not just a plug, it's a helpful tool. Go to bbb.org and type in the name of that company, because you'll be able to see right there if they're receiving complaints, what their rating is. You know, an A plus means, you know, this is a trustworthy company, and the interactions we've heard about, they resolve them if some issue did come up. But on the other side, if you see an F, that means people complain about them and they don't even bother to respond. So if you see that, you know that's something to avoid. And also in general, if you're not too sure about a company's name or even a person's name, step outside of social media and just Google that name and then put scam or reviews after it and see what comes up. A lot of times just doing that, you'd be shocked how many times these scammers' names will come up. And then they'll just, change to a new name. So that's why it's important that we keep reporting this information if something does happen.
Lastly, Nakia, before we let you go, if someone does fall victim to some of these scams during this holiday season in Greater West Bloomfield, what are the first steps that they should take to, A, protect themselves after the fact, and B, try to track these individuals down with local law enforcement if that's even possible?
Right. Sometimes it's foreign companies and we don't even have jurisdiction to find these people. But first, you want to protect your information. If someone has gained any sort of access, you want to go through, update your passwords. And I know we complain about it. Some people are a little lazy, but please always use two-factor authentication. It is so important, and it is that extra layer that can save you. So if you didn't have it enabled, this is the time to go ahead and do that. This is the time to check all your privacy settings on your phone, on your social media accounts. And also you want to, if you think someone has got a hold of, your birth date, your ID numbers, your social security, you're going to want to go to one of the 3 credit bureaus and set up a fraud alert on your account. And long as you set up that alert on one, the other 2 credit reporting agencies will be notified, because then that way, the next time someone tries to even get something in your name, it's going to be an alert that comes to you and you'll have to be contacted before they can even try to get credit. So then at least you have that protection. And I also would say at bbb.org/scam tracker, we created what's called a survival toolkit. So if you click in the upper right corner on that toolkit, you can explain to it what happened, and it'll ask you questions in a step-by-step process and then give you answers on what it recommends you should do as your plan of action to start the road to recovery.
More great information, as you can see on your screen on our live broadcast and on our website on civiccentertv.com. A lot of resources, searching tools, and more great advice for this time of the year as you're shopping and wrapping up the holiday gift-giving season and the giving season for charities and nonprofits. bbb.org. Nakia, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you so much for having me. And if I may say, if it's specific to holidays, all these tips can be found very quickly and easily at a short URL, and that's just bbb.org/holidays. And thank you for your time.
Always great to have Nakia and the team at the Better Business Bureau on for that very important advice, especially this time of the year, as she said, when we're all in a big rush to finish that holiday shopping and give those last donations out to get on our 2024 taxes. The Michigan Attorney General's Office, Dana Nessel, a Greater West Bloomfield product herself, also has the consumer protection team at her office helping residents of the state of Michigan out during this time. If they do encounter a scam, you can file a complaint. You can look at consumer alerts. You can check into charities as well to learn more information about their legitimacy or illegitimacy and help protect yourself. That extra layer of protection that Nakia and I talked about, taking that step back, waiting, taking a beat, doing a little bit of research before you hit that send button on your computer, your laptop, your tablet, your phone, or whatever other devices that can instantly put your information out there. Great advice from Nakia. We always thank her for being on the program and the Attorney General's office for that information from their website, michigan.gov/consumer protection. That will give you all the information you need from the Michigan Attorney General's office. Close to home, as we celebrate the holidays, someone in Sylvan Lake is a staple of many people's holiday occasions with the kids. Serving as, essentially, Sylvan Lake's go-to Santa Claus is Larry Jack, and he joins us now on the Splash Live to tell us even more about how this all started and why he loves doing this during the holiday season. Larry, thank you so much for bearing with us as we spent a few extra minutes helping to get you ready, and now you're with us to tell us more about your Santa Claus story.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Happy to have you on the
live
program.
TV.
Yeah, it's always an adventure with us on live television.
Perfect.
Sometimes technology will get in the way, but hey, we've persevered, and we have you joining us now to tell us all about your experiences as being sort of Sylvan Lake's go-to Santa Claus. And for you personally, how does it feel to be part of these cherished holiday memories for so many individuals and families in your city?
Well, I'm very blessed to be in such a great lake community. We have great neighbors and friends here in the city. So many different things going around, happening all year round. and it brings me joy to become a Santa for just a few moments or a few gigs, so to speak.
And so take us a little bit back in time. Where did this begin with you being a Santa Claus, not only just maybe at some family gatherings or with your friends, but kind of someone that a lot of people in the prettiest little city in Michigan will look to as their go-to Santa Claus this season?
Are you there?
Oh, sorry about that. I'll repeat the question. Take us back in time. Where did this all begin with you sort of being this go-to Santa Claus for Sylvan Lake?
Well, it dates back many years ago. My father played Santa for over 40 years. And when he passed away in 2015, I was gifted his suits. And it brings me joy to be a part of that. And when I get into costume, just to see the look on a child's face brings me a lot of joy, and also it gives me it brings back a lot of memories with my father, and when I put that on, it just gives me a warm feeling to honor him in that way.
And it shows, too, that these are important moments, not only for those that are participating with their families, getting those pictures with Santa Claus that they'll look back on in 30 and 40 years, that kids will look back on when their parents maybe have passed on as some of their cherished memories. How does that sort of connection to those connections also add to your excitement to participate in all these different events and photo opportunities during this season?
Wow. I was asked to do this a year ago, and I do it privately for friends and neighbors. And I did it I retired from a school, and I did it a couple times to substitute with my dad, for my dad. And it's just, it's a feeling. It's a great feeling to have and to do something not just for myself, but for others.
Larry Jack is with us, one of your go-to Santa Clauses in the Tri-Cities, especially in the city of Sylvan Lake, is with us today on the Splash Live, talking about his experiences as being this Santa Claus, and it includes at some of the bigger events. We had a holiday gathering recently in the city of Sylvan Lake, where so many people, not only those that celebrate Christmas, but that celebrate so many other holidays, got to come out and join together, meet some people, meet their neighbors, and celebrate really the spirit of the season. We know that Sylvan Lake's a very close-knit community, but when you bring them together in this way and for this particular season, what does that say about the nature of Sylvan Lake and its people, and really what those connections are all about?
It wasn't before COVID. I think it was still a great community, but I think COVID did a lot of good things for our city. It brought people closer together as a community. The camaraderie between the people and friends and neighbors and outsiders, even in local Keagle Harbor, it brought a lot of joy to our community. We have summer concerts. We have the holiday festival, of course. We have a lot of history in Sylvan Lake, and it just. When I moved in here 14 years ago, I knew what it was back in the 80s when coming to Sylvan Lake and watching the boat races and that type of thing. But coming back to Sylvan Lake many years later, it's a great community. And it's even gotten better since COVID, I think. It's brought people closer together. And being a part of that really, it brings me joy.
Knowing what this means to you with your connection to your father and his time being a Santa Claus in very similar capacities to what you're doing now, and seeing these memories and connections being built in an age where we're also interconnected through technology, and you mentioned kind of that post-COVID way that these sort of in-person gatherings have come back together and been more important. Why is it now more than ever, arguably, more important to have these sort of special gatherings and opportunities to make these special memories as a community?
but we don't know what the future is going to bring. We just go day by day. When these events are created, it's just a lot of planning, and it takes a lot of volunteers and a lot of people getting involved. And we have that in our community. We always have. But it's gotten a lot better since COVID, I think, with all the activities year round. And as I mentioned earlier, the Lake community is a great community. And when somebody needs something, the community really shows their true colors and comes out and helps.
One of Santa's very favorite helpers out in the city of Sylvan Lake, playing the role of Santa himself, is Larry Jack, and he joins us on the Splash Live today. Larry, before we let you go, what is your advice for others in Sylvan Lake or across greater West Bloomfield who want to help bring sort of the spirit of this season out in their area of our community or in the greater community itself? You know, what advice would you give them about taking those first steps and making a really true impact at this time of year?
Get involved, go out in the neighborhood, Christmas carol, stop and visit a shut-in that you know about. We have a lot of seniors in our community, and it's to see their faces when they open the door and they see their neighbors singing Christmas carols. It brings them such joy. And you know, we have a lot of we have a contest every year for several different best lights, best nativity scene. There's probably, I would say, 12 or 13 first place winners in our community. And just go around the neighborhood and check them out. It's to see people getting involved, and with the Christmas holiday and the spirit of Christmas, it's a great community. So one other thing that I do to give back to the community is I am in costume and I go around to the winners' homes and I take pictures, Santa in front of their house, and I put them on social media. So it gives them an opportunity to see what their place looks like from somebody else's eyes.
Well, it's all fantastic efforts that you're putting forth to bring people joy at this time of the year, and that's really what this time of the year is all about. Larry, thank you so much for joining us. Anything else that you have to say before we let you go today?
Have a great Christmas and a holiday, and God bless you.
You as well, Larry, and everybody in Sylvan Lake and all of our communities in greater West Bloomfield. This is what the season's all about, building those connections for years to come. Close to home in West Bloomfield Township, the Friendship Circle is working on building those connections, helping local women get to know each other, build new bonds, and have a fun evening right here in our community. Our reporter Jake Schaff was there to get the story.
Empowerment and unity are some of the most valuable resources you can achieve. And just recently, the Friendship Circle of West Bloomfield put together an incredible event to bring women from all across the community to achieve both of those things. By uniting through conversation, stories, and song, these women took away so much from the event that wouldn't have been possible without the Friendship Circle.
It's wonderful. I think that organizations that have, female groups, women's studies, I think that it's very rewarding, and it's kind of a small community within our big community, and it's great to learn.
I'm always looking for different activities for women. I'm a working woman, and so I always want to connect with other people. So I thought it would be great, and it was a great cause. I love the Friendship Circle, and I loved being with this group of women, and I'm very proud of the work that this committee did in putting this amazing event together.
What were some of the big things you've taken away from tonight?
I took away the confidence to sing amongst a group of people, because I've been told forever to keep my mouth quiet, to always lip sync, because I have such a terrible voice. And I really felt like my voice was heard, and and I always love when my voice is heard and I feel like I'm making a difference. So I found it very empowering, and I also thought it was interesting to look around the room and see a group of women who didn't have any inhibitions there. They all were the same, and they were all enjoying the evening together.
Have you seen these connections being made tonight, and have you seen the impact already?
Oh my God, I had physical chills over my entire body when we were singing, and my mom and my sister-in-law, we were all holding hands and swaying, and we all felt it. I saw people crying, I saw people smiling, and just everyone was nervous at first, but they got all into it, and especially the second time around, everyone was really excited and really a part of it.
So, what was the inspiration behind the event tonight?
In times like this, where lots of our community are just a little bit overwhelmed, a lot going on in the world, difficult times, this is a time to come together in unity and really coming together with positivity and light. And the quote that this is based on is, a little bit of light pushes away a lot of darkness. It's time for all of us to come together, be united as one, and really share the light with others. As women, when we get together, there's a tremendous strength. And like I shared with our community, we could be inspired, and then inspiration can be fleeting. So it's really important to say, what can I do to bring more light to the world past this event? So when we come together, the energy is tremendous. We're all together, united, and let's take that incredible feeling and bring it to help others.
The Friendship Circle of West Bloomfield brought forward that feeling of togetherness thanks to a little bit of passion and a little bit of emotion. And we're grateful for all the work they do for the entire community. For Civic Center TV, I'm Jake Schaff.
Appreciate the report, Jake, and appreciate the work of our entire team all throughout this 2024 calendar year, from Jake Schaff and Kevin McIntosh to others out in the field like Peyton Skyver, and of course at Master Control like Calvin Brown, Ryan Younglove, and so many others. That is going to do it for our episodes of The Splash Live in 2024. We're going to take a little bit of a break at the end of the year. In the meantime, we'll be playing some of your favorite programs on Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM. Here's wishing you and yours a happy holidays and thanking you for tuning in live, local, social. It's The Splash Live on Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM.